Hello guys, welcome back to our channel. I'm Leo. If our last video was a test of your tactical mind, this one is a journey for your soul. We've barely started the year, yet the Steam is already delivering massive worlds. We saw the climax of a decades-long saga in Trails Beyond the Horizon, the quirky corporate satire of Escape from Ever After, and the chaotic cooperative survival of Doomcrawl. Whether you want to forge swords in a ruined keep or get lost in an old-school MMO, this month's lineup offers an escape for every type of adventurer. So check your inventory and gather your party. Here are the most interesting RPGs you can play right now. By the way, we curate these lists based on Steam's user-defined tags and top releases. Genres can be fluid, so some titles might surprise you. Escape from Ever After is a storybook-themed Paper Mario-style adventure RPG, where a fairy tale hero ends up taking a job inside his dragon nemesis's castle, after it's been converted into corporate offices by a real-world conglomerate. The hook is watching classic fantasy roles collide with modern workplace absurdity as the duo climbs the corporate ladder to sabotage the takeover from within, jumping between wildly different storybook worlds and genres along the way. The gameplay loop centers on exploring new areas, meeting oddball characters, and fighting wacky enemies using snappy turn-based battles that lean on well-timed button inputs for extra impact and defense. Many reviews highlight the polished art style, strong characters, and a story that keeps its pacing moving, with combat that feels straightforward to pick up. On the caution side, there are mentions that the campaign can feel shorter than people want, with some already jokingly asking where the sequel is. Moving on to something more experimental, the NO existence of Morphean Paradox, the Forest of Silver Chalice, is a visual novel-leaning JRPG, where the player awakens in a mysterious forest and leads a guild through faction schemes, personal bonds, and decision-driven story routes. Progress tends to follow a structured routine, planning schedules day by day, choosing whether to train, push deeper into a labyrinth, or take side requests, then returning to manage party growth and relationships. Combat is presented as strategy-focused turn-based encounters, backed by character development systems with core attributes, equipment choices, and branching paths that shape how each companion functions in the squad. Many find the VN Plus RPG blend appealing, calling out the daily sim, rhythm, and character moments as a major draw. At the same time, there are frequent cautions about instability, bugs, crashes, and even missed side quests, and several reviews stress that the story currently feels unfinished, with only early chapters available and no ending yet. Works well if someone wants a choice-heavy narrative and management structure, and is comfortable with an in-progress experience. Now, if you want something faster, Vital Shell is a science fantasy top-down arena shooter roguelite where fantasy archetypes are reimagined as mechs, dropped into desolate stages to survive enemy waves and build a run-defining loadout. While primarily a shooter, its constant leveling, trait selection, and build synergy focus give it enough RPG structure to fit in a role-playing lineup. Runs are designed around quick momentum, fight through waves, then between rounds pick new weapons, abilities, and traits. With gem socketing, they can radically change how gear behaves and how combinations scale. The presentation leans hard into a PSX-era look, paired with an ambient jungle soundtrack, making the whole thing feel both retro and stylized. Community comments tend to praise how immediately fun and one more run it feels, with some comparing it to Brotato but with more streamlined upgrade management and a strong mech theme. The main drawback mentioned in reviews is taste-based. Not everyone enjoys the specific 90s jungle music direction, even if they like the gameplay, more appealing to players who want compact roguelike runs and constant build decisions than to those looking for a story-first RPG journey. Wicked Seed is a modern-day horror RPG that blends survival horror atmosphere with a unique hybrid combat system, where real-time dodging, blocking, and parrying combine with turn-based tactical attacks. You control Ella, a female protagonist uncovering mysteries in dark forests, underground tunnels, and evacuated city streets while fighting off monsters and piecing together her past. The gameplay loop centers on positioning and timing, learning enemy patterns to parry or flank them for bonus damage in real time, then leveling up and customizing your build through weapons, armor, and accessories as you explore hidden paths and optional puzzles. Some reviews highlight the combat as engaging, especially in the latter half when powerful accessories and unique gear unlock, including combinations that let you spam abilities freely, and the 50 unlockable costumes provide visual variety throughout. Criticisms fall into two camps. A vocal minority dismissed the story and gameplay as weak and directionless, while others who enjoyed it still mention a sharp difficulty spike mid-game that pushes some players to quit even on normal mode. Works well if you're drawn to horror RPGs with a tactical edge and don't mind uneven difficulty scaling. Have you ever wanted to be the blacksmith instead of the hero? Bladesong is a sword crafting management RPG set in a ruined medieval world where you play as the official smith of Aaron Keep, fulfilling customer orders while embedded in a story-driven backdrop of political intrigue and rebellion. Rather than diving into dungeons, the gameplay centers on freeform blade design, shaping metal, selecting components from a deep parts library, and balancing weapon stats to meet each client's specifications, all under resource constraints that force you to choose which commissions to accept. Between jobs, you meet characters, uncover lore surrounding the former blacksmith's disappearance, and watch rebellion stir beneath the masked king's rule. Reviews praise the atmospheric storytelling and how the progression system elevates a crafting sandbox into something with real narrative weight, with some describing the lore as so engaging they want a book version. However, there are complaints that the fixed pay structure removes incentives for creativity. Players feel pressure to make cheap, plain weapons to save resources, and repair jobs offer little reward, making the economy feel restrictive rather than encouraging experimentation, more appealing to those who want story-rich management with crafting at its core. For those seeking a true throwback, Project Gorgon returns to the golden age of MMORPGs, and it rejects class-based progression in favor of a skill-driven sandbox, where you combine dozens of abilities to create personalized builds through exploration and discovery. The world is designed without quest rails or handholding, so progress emerges from experimenting with different NPCs, who each have goals and favor systems that unlock rewards, shops that retain inventory from other players, and hidden secrets scattered across the environment. Gameplay focuses on freely mixing combat skills, crafting professions, and social systems, with NPCs acting as gatekeepers to new content based on relationship levels, meaning befriending certain characters opens entire gameplay branches. Many reviews compare it favorably to classic MMORPGs like Ultima Online and EverQuest, describing the experience as nostalgic and immersive in a way modern MMOs rarely attempt. The main complaint is minor but memorable. A repeating buff song in towns gets stuck in some players, heads to the point of frustration, though most admit that's more personal than a design flaw. Best suited for fans of exploration-heavy, old-school MMORPGs willing to figure things out without modern conveniences or linear progression. Grab your friends for this next one. Doom Crawl is an open-world action-adventure game where you pilot a giant crab across a desert wasteland, exploring islands, looting dungeons, and battling jar-headed invaders, either solo or with up to 3 friends in local or online co-op. While it leans more toward action-adventure and shooter mechanics, its heavy emphasis on loot-driven progression, character stat customization through collectible gear, and RPG-style upgrade systems justify its placement in an RPG lineup. The core gameplay splits between navigating the desert on your customizable crab crawler, managing cooperative tasks during naval-style combat, like manning cannons, repairing damage, and coordinating boarding actions, and exploring islands for quests, secrets, and equipment upgrades that enhance both player abilities and the crab itself. You can also tame and ride other giant bugs, from multi-saddle beetles to armored scorpions, expanding your mobility options. Reviews describe the co-op experience as genuinely fun, with some couples and groups highlighting the charm of naming and customizing their crabs together. However, there are consistent warnings about technical issues, frequent crashes, interface problems, and the strong recommendation to save and quit after every mission to avoid losing progress. More appealing to groups seeking a quirky co-op adventure with light RPG progression than to solo players or anyone unwilling to tolerate stability issues. Finally, the heavy hitter, The Legend of Heroes, trails beyond the horizon as a story-driven JRPG that lets players control 3 separate protagonists, Van, Reen, and Kevin, across intertwining narrative routes, blending action-based field battles with strategic turn-based command battles as they uncover secrets at the core of the Zemirian continent. This is explicitly the 13th entry in a connected series, and multiple reviews stress that starting here without playing the previous 12 games will leave newcomers completely lost, as the story builds on over a decade of established lore, returning characters, and converging plot threads. Combat offers flexibility. You can engage enemies in real-time action sequences or pause to strategically plan attacks in a turn-based layer, with new mechanics like shard commands and S-boosts that expand tactical options for each character and hollow core companion. Fans of the series describe it as a culmination point that brings together years of world building, pacing, and character arcs into something that feels almost final, despite more entries planned, with emotional payoffs for longtime followers. Criticisms center on technical problems. This is reportedly the first Trails game where bugs became a noticeable issue for players, and mixed reactions to new systems like shard skills, which some find less appealing than previous mechanics. Best suited exclusively for committed Trails fans who have completed the prior 12 games and want the narrative convergence, not newcomers or casual JRPG players. And that's the first half of our RPG and adventure list. Honestly, January dropped so many massive adventures that we couldn't fit them all into just one video, so if you didn't see a game you were looking for, don't worry. Make sure you are subscribed with notifications on, because Part 2 is dropping later this week, and trust me, we saved some serious hidden gems for that one. In the meantime, all the games from today are linked below. Which world are you jumping into first? Let me know in the comments. I'm Leo, and I'll see you guys in Part 2.